Good morning, guys. So let's start our today class. Today we are going to, work on form, right? HTML form. So first step is to understanding the basic form elements. Okay. So in our README document, right? If you go to the CSS here in CSS and README, what I did is just added some code, right? Let's look at that. From here. So this is the form element. So first thing, right, when you creating a form, when you start creating a form, you need to use form element. What is this form element? It's just a wrapper, right, for the form. Why we don't use div or section or any other wrapper element? Every semantic element has some meaning, right, for the browser. So form elements also has meaningful information, right? Basically browser knows by using the form elements, user want to collect the information about, or basically website, right, is want to collect some information about any users or any client. Okay, client, what is client, right? When you open the browser or basically our website in any browser, right, even let's say mobile browser, desktop browser, even in your mobile, right, you have Alexa or whatever, that is a client. Okay, something, which is trying to access our website, they are all client. Okay, for now just imagine browser is a client, right? So the client want to submit some information so that our website can collect data about the client, right? So we have our website and there is a client, that is a browser. In browser, the user can fill out the form and submit, right? The form elements, or this is the wrapper for submitting the form. It has some special attributes like action and method, right? So action is basically, here we just like put our API, right? The link where you want to send the data, and the process how you want to send, by post or get method, right? So in JavaScript we're going to learn about this, or maybe during the Express, right? So in the Express, after we complete JavaScript, we're going to learn how to build API, or we can use in JavaScript also, does not matter, right? But we'll see. I want to put things together with Express. That is what you're going to do in the money stack, right? So we're going to build the API. That API link will go here, right? Basically the URL, API is nothing but the link. Okay, the URL, right? Like HTTPS something, right? So that link will send our data by one of the method, right? Get or post method. Okay, so the rest of the form element will be inside here, right? Inside the form. So let's look at this attribute. What is this action and method attributes? Action specifies the URL where the form data will be sent for processing, right? See? And method specifies the HTTP method, right, to be used when sending the form data. Common values are get and post. Okay, appends the form data to the URL, suitable for non-sensitive data and retrieving data, right? So when you use get to send the data, that means whatever the data inside the input element or form element, right? Because you're going to have form element here. Whatever data you're going to send will be attached to the URL. So that's how the get work, right? But if you have sensitive data, something you don't want anyone to see, right? Then we use post. Okay, post method. So these are the few attributes of the form. Let's look at the common form element, right? First one is input, text input, right? So first, for text also you're going to use input element. You just have to change the type attribute to text. Okay, next is okay, that is the basically HTML, right? You can have label. So label element is used for adding the label for the input, right? Input your name, you're going to put in the label, and then the field to add input, right? Correct. Same thing for password. You just have to change the attribute type to password. So our HTML code is here. Label for password and your input field, right? So see, in the input field, you can have type. So that will define the type of the input, right? And ID, and also you give the name, right, to your input field. Okay. So look at here, the for attribute. In the label, we add for attribute, right? This value is equal to the ID of the input. Why is that? Because we want to make sure, right, our form elements are basically this label, right, recognize its input, okay, by using the ID equal to the for value. Accessibility, right, improve the accessibility of the form. Okay, so we must use for value equal to ID, and then you give a name, right, to your form, because when you send the data, it must be stored in one of the name here, right? It basically assigning something to, like one of the name. Okay, so I will explain with example, right, in our exercise later. But submit button, same thing. You're gonna have input type is submit button. You can add a value here, right? Just give a value, and this will be the text like submit. Okay, so here you can see now, right? This will be the button to submit. So when you click on the submit button with type, this form will trigger, means it will go in action, collect all the data and send to this URL, right? Next is radio button, right? So the type will be radio button. So see, everything is input, right? The input is basically you inputting the data either by text or radio button or checkbox or maybe select, right? Or maybe file, it's maybe attached file, something like that. So look at here, right? Just the type is changing. Okay, so here HTML label for mail will be this. Input type is radio, ID is male, name is gender, right? Value is male. Look at here, because here it's gonna check, right? Check. So the value must be either male or female. This value will be sent. One more thing, all input has value. Okay, either you can define the value, or you can, when you type in the text box, right, later you can select that value. Okay, this value property, so input field dot value, right, will be whatever value here. So we have female and the male, right, level plus input, their input, right? And look at here, for is male, ID is male, name we give gender, right? One more thing, why the name is same here, gender and gender, because in in the radio button you only gonna select one, right? So by specifying the same name, this will only allow you to select one element. Okay, one checkbox, because in the radio button, right? That's the purpose of the name to be same. Checkbox, same stuff. You have the label for checkbox and input, right? Type with ID subscribe here. Look at this, name subscribe, value is newsletter, right? Now you want to have drop down list of drop down. So let's say you have this label for car, select ID car, right? Why I have ID for of same value? Because again, the accessibility, right? This label is for this select box. Okay, so in the select box you can have multiple options now, right? So you can select one of them. They all have different value, because options, whatever option you select, that value will be sent for database, right? Or basically that value will be stored in database. Next is text area. Here is the label, right? For message, text area will be ID message. Let's look at the name message, because the ID must be equal to this for, right? And then you give a name, whatever, the text you want to type, right? So this is the complete example, right? So let's go and start. Let's do some practical exercise, right? So what I'm going to do is, let's see, I added this in the here, right? So within the CSS, I'm just going to create one form class, right? Okay. And here, index.html, and we're going to add style.css. In index, change the title to form exercise or class, right? Okay, let's link our CSS. Fine. Now, right, we got a CSS. Always I will just reset my CSS file first. So I will make a margin 0. Then padding will be 0. Box sizing will be border box, right? So that will reset the margin padding, and we, apply the box sizing to border box, right? So that width, or just basically the box model will be calculated properly, right? So now the first thing, in order to start the form, we need form element. We have action. We don't have any HTTP, right? So let's leave it like this. I'll just put maybe empty. And the method, right? We can have post or get, right? So let's put a post here. Or later we can check also for get, right? Fine. So now, right, let's make HTTPS something like e5code.com, right? That's how we write. Okay, so let me go back here. Just give me a second, guys. I will minimize this. I'm doing something wrong, right? Here, just put that. Okay. So we just created the form element. The next thing is, right, first we need to understand the input element. Okay. You always gonna have label and input, right? So let's start with our basically what we can do, right? Here, right, let's add like heading 1, maybe something simple, right? Registration form, right? And then maybe paragraph. So in paragraph, right, just please fill out this form, right? Something like that. Then we have the form element, and next will be, right, so the inside even form element, there is few more things we need to understand, right? Like field set. What is field set? Okay, so field set is basically the box, same like div or section, right? To wrap the form element. Okay, for example, if I just put here 2 3 4 field set, right? Let's go live view and check that. Look at there is a 4 different box, okay, or field set, right? So if you want to wrap the form element in separate box, it's better to put in a field set. So what I'm gonna do is minimize this. Yeah, let's do it properly. See, so because there is no any element right inside, that's why it looks like that. Okay, so always basically what we have learned here, what I show you right now is the label and the input field. Okay, so there is another idea way we can use this, right? Like for example, let's say first you add a label, right? Let's call it name. Okay, and then here you have the name like that, or let's call it first name. Okay, and soon after this, right, within the label, give a space and then you can call the input. Type text, right? Then we have the for, that is id must be same, right? That is name. Then you can add so we have type text, id, name. What else we need, right? Name, right? You have to give a name for that input field so that your data will be sent, right, in this name. Let's call it name itself. So save. So you can see that. So yeah, so that is good enough, right? We have type text, id, and name. See, so now first name, you can add it same thing, right? So let's add like this for first name. So we must change that to id also, right? Okay, similarly we can add for the last name, right? So let's do the last name. So you can even improve this text, right? Like enter the first name, enter last name, or you can leave it last name, right? So you can decide what you want to add here. Type will be text, id is, last name must be same like the for, right? And here name, you can make it last name also. See, good. So save this. Look at there, right? So look at the label now. Labels are inline element. What you have to understand is field set, right? These are a block element, but labels are inline element, right? So we can go to our CSS here and I'll just select label, right? And I'll say the display to, not inline, but block now. Block for now, okay? So it will be, just go on the next line, right? Or new line. Block elements always start in a new line. And then we can add something, right? Let's add a margin of top and bottom, maybe 1 em, right? And left and right for now, let's make it 0. Yeah, so fine, it looks good. Let's continue. So now you can have password. What we can add, let's add email and password, right? So what I will do, I'm just going to change this for to email. Let's add here email, right? Input type now must be email, okay? And your ID must be email because it must match with our for, and name also email, right? Email. Good. Save this. So you get email now. Same thing. Last name, right? That is password. So let's make it password for the for, or pwd, whatever you can put here. Password. Input type will be now password, not text but password, right? Why we use password? Because the HTML has given us, right, in your input field or form, type must be different, right? For different field, like for password you must use the type password, so that when you type the password, right, it will be like hidden, okay? And also you can specify some special character, right, for the password as well. You can do that, min length, something like that, right? So ID must be same to the for password, and last name you can use password, right? So save and check now, right? Look at here. So if you like, if you go back, this is a password. Here you can type like this, right? See? So let's do one thing, right? Because you want to submit this form, for that you're gonna need maybe button, right? So I will just below the input, let's see, here I'll just call input type, submit, and value will be submit, right? Capital S, submit. So that value you're going to see in the form, okay? So when I click this form, right, look at here, because I don't have @.com, something like that, it's gonna give error, right? So this is form, is just form try to reach here, right? Look at this, to the link, okay? Fine. So now we almost created a first name, last name, email, password, right? So let's do now checkbox, right, for the male and female. Or maybe we can add something. Yeah, let's add a checkbox here. Not checkbox, but radio button, right? So again, same thing, you can add label. So let's call it for male. So now, right, you want the input box here, and then you're gonna put a male here, right? So just pay attention, okay? The input type will be what? For radio, a radio button, right? And then ID will be male. Remember, in the radio button you are only allowed to select one out of multiple, right? So the name must be same. So let's give it gender, right? Okay. Now here, female. Input type will be radio, ID will be female, and the name will be gender, right? So change this one to female. Save, and you have something like this. So you are allowed to select only one, right? If you want to add some, like some text here, just make it heading 2 or maybe 1, right? And add it. Select gender, right? Select, or maybe, yeah, let's make it select. Or better, right? There is a special tag called legend. Okay, legend, right here, and you can call it like gender, right? Save and look at that. That box got that gender. Okay, so you can add more specific gender. Good. Now you want to like maybe add your let's call it a biodata or something, right? So h2 or maybe legend biodata, like that. And inside you're going to say input field. Now type will be file, okay, this time, right? So no file chosen, right? So when you click in, it will send you to the file, right? So wherever to select the file in your computer. But what we are doing is, first we have the label, right? And add like file. So let's call it choose your bio, right? And then we can add the input field here, so something like choose your bio and just select on this, right? Or select or add your, not choose, but let's say add your bio. Add your bio, okay? Good. So the next thing what we can do is in here, let's add few more things, right? What we can add? What we're missing now, right? Checkbox and select, right? So checkbox we can add here. Okay, let's add here, right? Checkbox. So label. In the checkbox, what we can do, right? Maybe let's make it terms and condition, right? So first I need the checkbox button and then the terms and condition, right? So here what I will do is I need an input field. Type will be checkbox, okay? And ID, right, will be same like terms, right? Because remember one more thing we miss here, right? Okay, let's finish this and then we're going to go back to the radio button. Value, you must apply the value, okay? So here we can call it terms and condition, right? Something like that, okay? So input type checkbox ID is terms. We have for terms, fine. So let's save this. I want to add something here like paragraph, right? Please select the terms and condition, right? Something like that. Okay, so you can select here. Please agree. Please select the terms and condition, right? Okay. So when you select whatever terms and condition is there, right, will be basically whatever terms and condition we have will be applied. Means the user is agreeing to the terms and condition, right, by making this selection. Okay, something like that should be there. What we can add, right? I think we need to understand about the select box, correct? Select, right? So let's add somewhere here. Just below the field, right? Let's add that. The first select, you're gonna need a label. So what we can add? We can select something like let's say, I mean, we have here one example. Remember this almost same thing, right? You're going to find in this exercise. Okay, this is the whole complete exercise with the CSS also, right? All right, so let me just, I will just select from here, right? This is from the free code camp. Okay, either you can go there and practice, or just follow this, right? Step by step, don't just copy paste. Okay, step by step, and work on that. But I will most likely tomorrow I will work on, I will explain all this tomorrow again in the class, right? So what I can do, right? Select, let's see. Okay, let's do this, right? Let's copy this one, and then let's go back. So here, I mean, you can add it below or up. That does not matter, right? So we have the label. Delete that. We don't need. Oh, this is the part of this, right? So label for refer, right? Refer. How do you did you hear about us? Select ID refer to match this for, right? You can give the name, but so that when you submit this form data, right, it will go in this name. Okay, refer equal to whatever value, right? Like 1, 2, 3, 4. That these are the value of the options. So now save this, right? The important thing is you have label. Inside that label, right? Let's see. Something is missing here. So that's the closing tag. That's the select box right here. And I'm missing this label to close, right? Close that. Oh, sorry, it's here already. My mistake. So here is the label, right? And then we have this, how did you hear about us? That's the text to display in the label. And then we have this select. So this format, right, it's similar to all the remaining fields. Okay, everywhere you saw, right, it's same. We have label, then we have the text for the label and the input, right? So save this, and now you just look at here. You can select one of them, right? Okay, so this is how, right, you should be creating the form. So let's quickly recap, right? And then tomorrow we're gonna work on the basically styling all this, adding CSS. Okay, guys. So please practice this, right? Give the try, practice all this. Sorry, guys, just give me a second. So one thing I see missing, right? Okay, so let's like normally what we do, right? We understand the input fields, email, password, like radio buttons, checkbox, file to choose, right? Also, we understand the select box. But let's say you want to write some details, right, about yourself, like some kind of biodata or maybe resume, right? You want to insert in the field. So that is text area. Okay, so where we can add that one? Let's see. What I will do, I'll just below this choose file, right? I'm going to add the text area. Add your bio. Okay, that's the one. Field set for checkbox, but yeah, here, right? Okay, so we're gonna add a label, right? And let's call it a resume. Then we need an input field, right? Input field, not input, but let's just add text area. Okay, So name will be resume, and you can have ID same with our for, right? Resume. You can even add placeholder, right? Let's add placeholder and call it you know, tell us about yourself, right? Okay. So fine. So let's save this now, right? And you see here we have something to write a lot of text, right? You can, like even give the row and column, number of row and column here, right? You can define that. So here, let's call it rows, maybe, how many rows, right? 20. And columns, let's make it 4 or 5. See, this box just increased 20 rows. Column is 4, right? Very small. So maybe just make opposite, right? Let's make it 10 rows and column maybe make it 20, right? Yeah. Or you want to have like 40. Good. Just to make it some kind of box like shape. So one thing, in our label, right, we don't have any information. So let's add here, right, something like a tell us, or your bio, right? Let's call it your bio. Okay. Good. So that's how we create a, like a text area. So almost these are the fields, right? You're going to use most of the time in the form, right? What we're going to do is we're going to improve this form and add CSS in the next class. All right, guys. So thank you very much. Please follow this, right? Here is one example. Just follow that with CSS also. Before that, you must understand, right, the basic of all the inputs, right? All the elements of the form, okay? Basic, just get the basic idea, right? And the way I have created this. Most of the time, you just follow the same pattern, right? And your form will be nice, semantic form, right? Okay, thank you very much. I will see you tomorrow, guys.